Be careful as you look to grow professionally. Be careful not to be tempted, allured. Be careful not to be sold. Now, let me explain this before I get to the story, because it's happening a lot and the results are jarring. I've said this before on the program, but I think we forget sometimes that when we are in the interview process, or let's just call it the search process, before we even get to the interview, this is about you and your decision. You aren't, or should not be, trying to convince a company that you're great. You should be convinced by the company that the job that you're interested in is a great fit for you. The burden of proof is on them. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's time to get real. But here's what I know. Most of us are out there like it's a dating game, and we're trying to get noticed. We're like the contestants. There was an old game. I don't know if it was called the dating game, but it was like 3 guys behind a wall and the girl's trying to pick one, or vice versa. I guess they flipped it. That's how we, and I think most people, see the job search process. Okay. Going to go interview, going to go put my resume out there for several companies and hope they pick me. Wait a second. This is your life. This is your decision. You go into it with a dating game mentality that I just hope they pick me. You are very, very susceptible to being lured in, to being tempted, sold, and then it comes back to bite you. I'm going to give you a jarring piece of data to back myself up here, because I like to prove to you that I'm right. The number is near 80% of people who changed jobs in the last year and a half. They regret the decision they made. You may have heard terms on this show or in the news called the Great Resignation, where we saw 4 million plus people a month for about 18, 19 months in a row change jobs. It's like this never-ending churn, and it's still going. Well, there's a huge chunk of those people who changed jobs over the last year and a half to 2 years who have said that they regret leaving where they were, and they left for a bigger paycheck. They left because they were lured in, right? I remember growing up, and I forget what movie it was, but it was like these sailors. It was like this mythological thing that, out on sea, these mermaids would lure you in with songs and, kind of a temptress type of thing, and come over here, and then the ship would crash on the rocks. And as silly as that metaphor is, that's what's behind this new term called the Great Regret. That staggering piece of data. And here's what happened. People got lured into, come join us. Come over here. Sirens, they were called. Yes. Is that the name of the movie? But that's the myth of sirens. Yeah. And it's like these companies now, by the way, we're in a job market right now where companies are doing that. We have a labor crisis. There's not enough people for all the jobs available. So companies have turned to that, and they're like, come over here, right? The beautiful, sultry siren. And the sailor gets all googly-eyed. And, I'm telling you, that's what's happened to millions of Americans. And it's really attractive. Let me tell you why. Number one, these companies, they make you feel really special. They make you feel wanted. And doesn't it feel great to be wanted? Yes, it does. And then they throw a bunch of perks at you. And so you feel wanted. And then you feel special because of all the sweet perks they're going to throw at you, including a raise and all kinds of other things. So then they get you in the building. You know what they do? Then they treat you like a unit of production. Still not sure? Let me give you Exhibit A. Don't you love those legal things where the lawyer goes, Your Honor, I would like to submit Exhibit A. And so in my hands, Exhibit A. For years, Google ranked as the top company to work for in the United States. They had all kinds of comp packages. In-office climbing walls, free gourmet meals, 24/7, at-work massages, child care on the site. It was a bonanza. I remember reporting on it. I mean, we all read it. Everybody wanted to work for Google because you're like, I want a pasta bar at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so Google became the fun house. Google was the siren in those sailor movies. Come over here. Woo! And people said, I want to go work for Google. They're awesome. Until the morning of January 20th. One Google employee had to call tech support after getting hit with an unusual error message when they tried to log into the work system only to find out they had been laid off. That's just one story. 3 employees who spoke to CNN on condition of anonymity were among the 12,000 workers laid off that day. It was not about the 12,000 were laid off. It was the way they were laid off. People finding out from coworkers, trying to reach out to their managers who were on vacation. There was one lady who was in labor. She's in labor and gets an email after delivering the baby. Oh, yeah, you've been laid off. No personal connection, no knee-to-knee going, hey, we're having to do this. This is what we did wrong as a company. It's now affecting our workforce. We got to lay people off. This really sucks. Here's what we're going to do for you. Here's some resources we're going to give you. Nothing. Just showing up. And we reported this on the show. People showing up with their fobs. They can't get in. Now, here's what I'm trying to tell you. You need to do your research. You need to know how companies treat employees because the evidence is there. If all they ever talk about is the rock wall and the massages, be suspicious. Because a healthy place to work where you are valued doesn't have to tease you and lure you in with all these spectacular things. You know why they do that? Because they don't have much else to offer. Oh, they'll give you all the frilly stuff. They don't care about you. You know how I know this? Because they lay you off over email, which is despicable and wrong.